What's up guys, JC Sense here in my messy garage. It's way too early for this. I'm tired. We're gonna be doing some work today on the ZL1. We've got a lazy thermostat we need to change. Taking over to my buddy Bowtie Bridges' house and we're gonna change it. He's actually the master mechanic who built the engine in this car when I had the engine ripped out at like 5,000 miles and completely overhauled. And so we're gonna drive over there today, hang out with him, see another friend, and do some car stuff today. So a little bit different change of pace. And if you're in for that sort of thing, then why don't you go ahead and hop in with me and go along for the ride. So when I leave early in the morning, I hate waking up the family. So one of the nice things about this car is even though I have my straight through exhaust I use on track, I leave the stock muffler on when I'm on the street. So all the 800 plus horsepower that's in this thing doesn't wake up the whole freaking neighborhood when I start it. So I can just go to engine management, put it in stealth mode, the valves turn on, which block off a whole different diverter in the muffler, and super quiet. Although I don't know how quiet that actually sounds on the mic. It's actually pretty damn quiet in person versus what it was. But the stainless works, the whole neighborhood would have woken up right now.
A few moments later.
All right, here we are. This is Mike, Bowtie Bridges. You guys have seen me tag him on Instagram. We are working on the ZL1. I mentioned before I drove out here today that the thermostat is sticking, mostly in the closed position. We're assuming the car runs about 20 degrees, maybe 30 degrees hotter than it should. So we're gonna actually do the boil test with this too. I brought my Fluke thermometer so that we can boil it and see where it's actually opening, if it's opening at all. I think we're gonna maybe go old school too, and well, this thermostat we have already has a hole in it, right? So we don't have to drill a hole?
Yes.
Okay, so it's already got the little bleeder hole in it, which is, it's nice. It lets a little bit of coolant through. It'll take a little bit longer to warm up, but it also, more importantly, lets air through so that we don't get air pockets of steam build up in the engine. I have checked the levels in this coolant a million times since this problem started. I'm pretty sure there's no air in the system, but we're gonna find out today. So we're gonna drain in at least enough coolant out to get it below the thermostat, which is right there. You can see that nice shiny thermostat housing. It's actually the LS3 style billet housing, so we upgraded that as well. And to be honest, I don't think I ever told you guys what I did to this car, so maybe at some point today we'll go over the parts list. The invoice was like 2 pages long, so I don't even think I remember all the parts we put in here. But yeah, Mike built it though, so he knows. It's kind of a cookie cutter sheet of parts that go into these stage 3 builds. This black ZL1 he's got right here though, this is a customer car that, well, according to Mike, the guy just basically pointed at the catalog and said, I want everything. So I guess his goal is like 1,200 horsepower in this black one. So that's how you properly void a warranty in a 2018 ZL1. You take the heads off, you take the supercharger off, you send it all out for porting and stuff. Not even 2,000 miles on this car. And mine looked like that though, huh? When you built it?
Oh yeah.
That's just weight reduction. Just get rid of the heads. They're not necessary.
The thing with most of the mods in my engine here is most of it's not visible. So we've got obviously a cam in there. It's equivalent to like a stage 2 cam. We've got E85 flex fuel, all the ARP studs, titanium valve springs. The whole valve train was kind of improved to deal with the cam and you know, obviously the little bit higher RPMs that we got out of it. This is our catch can right here with the vented catch can. I've got this shield to protect it from water because unfortunately the drip tray, which is off right now, drips right onto this when I wash the car. So this is to protect it from fluid. Obviously we've got our Gates belt, 10% overdrive, ATI pulley down there, Rotofab intake, Tony Memo ported throttle body. It's not a larger throttle body, it's just smoothing out the inlet. There's a terrible step in there when the air enters. So that step has been smoothed out. We got American Racing long tube headers on there, 1 7/8, going down into a 3-inch all the way back to right now, which is a stock muffler. But I have a V-band on that so that I can easily remove it and put my stainless works on, which is way too loud for the street in my opinion. What else do we have? DSX fuel system. So it does have an added fuel pump on the bottom of the tank. We'll be working on that today too. Putting a different fitting in there, but that's obviously got its own fuel controller for that. You kind of see the LED under there somewhere, or maybe not. But anyway, that's to deal with the E85 and the extra fuel that's needed, which, as if this car needed more fuel being pumped into the engine. When I've got E85 going and I'm cruising, I'm at approximately 11 or 12 miles per gallon. When I'm on track, I'm probably going to be reaching about 4, if that. On the front of the car, we've got an extremely upgraded intercooler for the supercharger. Obviously, it's an air-to-water intercooler. The core on this is actually a CNR core, which is one of the best brands that you can get in terms of reliability and racing applications. And then I also have a CNR racing radiator in there as well. You can kind of see it obviously right there. So cooling is a big aspect to this build. And what you can't see behind the fender here is actually a 1.5 gallon tank for a reservoir. So yes, you guys are always telling me, go custom loop, haha, go custom water loop with that joke everyone thinks is original. We actually did a custom water loop in here. It's just, you can't really see it because it's all hidden and looks very factory for the most part. And then that's the thermostat housing I was telling you about right there, that shiny piece. So the stock thermostat housing is a plastic piece with a fairly restrictive thermostat, smaller thermostat. That's a 160, or right now it's more like a 200 because it's not really opening. And then I've got my Aeroforce gauges right there, which hook directly into the computer port, and then I can set the gauges to anything that I want. So yeah, the car is definitely not stock by any means. We were hitting 700 wheel horsepower on a Mustang dyno when the intakes were overheating because we had an issue where the supercharger cooling bricks inside the supercharger were, one of them was clogged at least. Mike had a fun time tracing that, didn't you?
It was interesting.
It was kind of funny on the OnStar system seeing the car like constantly driving because you were trying to figure out that issue. But
Yeah.
I did 700 wheel horsepower on a Mustang with the intakes reaching 180 degrees, which is pulling what? You said about 3 degrees of timing at least?
At 180, it's probably closer to 6.
And that's a lot of horsepower. So we're probably sitting closer to maybe 720, 730 wheel without the intakes overheating. But unfortunately, when we tried to re-dyno it, we were just spinning on the dyno. So we have no idea what it's exactly making. But I haven't lost a race yet, and that's because of that guy.
My car is taking the lead.
All right, so as you can see, that thermostat is completely closed. We have the probe right there at the thermostat so we can measure the temperature. It's currently at 125 Fahrenheit. We'll be measuring Fahrenheit, obviously, because it's a 160 thermostat. So we want to see, compared to when this crosses 160, what is this doing? As it approaches 160, it should start to slowly crack open, but once it passes 160, it should open pretty much all the way. So that's what we're going to be checking for. 154. So right now is where it would start cracking, just barely. But theoretically, at 160 is where you should see that spring moving. Well, I guess we'll just let it keep heating up and see where it starts to move. But so far, we've passed 160, and it has not opened even a little bit. 176, and the thermostat still has not moved. So, you know what? That says a lot for the cooling in this car, Mike. If the only flow we were getting was through that weep hole and it kept me from overheating, I mean, we were overheating where we should be, but we never even went to factory temp of 210.
That's crazy.
208 was the hottest I saw on the freeway.
That's crazy.
So we're at 180 now. So Mike's doing the old school method of drilling out the thermostat so we can have just a small constant amount of flow. It helps with air and, well, because race car, so.
Yeah, it'll heat up a little slower, but once it gets there, it'll be easier to maintain it.
All right, so we're at 196. It still hasn't opened. Mike's going to drop another 160 thermostat in there to see if it opens. It's going to take some time to absorb that heat.
Oh, there it goes.
Oh yeah, you can see it opening now. Takes some time for it to kind of absorb that heat. But you see how it's opening now on the bottom? You can see light coming through right there. Look at that. See the one above? Not opening at all. We're at just under 200 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's how a thermostat works, and comparatively how one doesn't work. The question is, what causes it not to open anymore? Fucking science, that's why.
Massive meats.
Mike likes the massive meat. I mean,
he
Matt
likes-
and Mike.
M&M.
This is a bromance right here.
BDB.
So everything I've done to this car is this man's fault.
It is not.
It
I
is
did
his fault.
Nothing
It's his
at all.
fault. It's Mr. Lethal Garage, Lethal Camaro, whatever lethal he is today. I think Lethal Conquest. And what did we say earlier was going to be?
Is that what it is? No.
The Lethal Crusade.
Crusade.
That was it,
yes.
the Lethal Crusade.
Because we're getting Crusader Crusader shocks from Viking.
All because of his 800 plus wheel horsepower drag car.
We're on a crusade.
Is that all you got is 800?
Well, we're going
God,
to
you
1,000.
spent way more than $800.
going to
800 horsepower
1,000.
worth of dollars, man. You're doing it wrong.
Mike is determined to get the thermostat to open by use now of butane and...
It opened.
Oh, did you hear it snap open too? It was like stuck, huh?
Yeah.
It snapped open violently.
Yeah. It opened. What temperature?
And now it's permanently stuck open. Oh,
there
it's
it goes.
closing. Sort of.
It started to.
Yeah, that thermostat's just completely foobarred. It was like, look at that, look how crooked the spring is.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's definitely from heat.
All right.
And that's how they used to lower cars.
So we used the infrared thermometer on it. It was what, 400 degrees on the element. It finally opened, but now it doesn't close right. So I won't be reusing that one, obviously. So the reason why we've taken the fuel tank out of the ZL1, as you can see right
Here is because we actually have an aftermarket fuel
line right there, as you can see, that was threaded into the tank. That's for the DSX low side fuel system. And unfortunately, mine was starting to leak on me. This coloration's there because I actually used a fuel tank repair putty to keep it from dripping on me.
But Mike now has this bulkhead fitting, which we're putting in there. So it's kind of like a pass-through fitting like I use in computers when I do my water cooling stuff. And it will sandwich in there, and that will give us a much better fitting to kind of clamp onto in their AN lines, right? Mm-hmm. AN fittings.
Yeah.
But to do that, he has to take the fuel tank out, and obviously the fuel pump so we can reach in there. And to do that, the entire drive line out of the car. Pretty easy install.
This is what it's like to be 6'7".
Somebody's going wrong.
All right, we're done. The car is ready to go, as you can see right there. Took it on a test drive. Temperatures are well within check. Max I saw was 181 degrees Fahrenheit after doing like 4 back-to-back pulls through top of second, middle of third. If I had tried to do that on the way here, I would have guaranteed overheated the car because, as you saw, the thermostat stop texting me. The thermostat did not open whatsoever. So, not at least not until we hit it with a 400 degrees worth of heat off of a butane torch. So, with that, you know, obviously wasn't going to work. So we're also changed that fitting inside the gas tank, as you guys saw, so no more leaking there. So I think we're going to be, knock on wood, ready for the track day on the 18th. Otherwise, Mike's going to get another fury of, I hate this car. This is a stupid car. Why did I buy this car? Actually, no, Mike I'm more tactful with. Matt, the one I'm like, fuck you for ever telling me to build this car. So, all right, guys, thanks for watching this little vlog. I don't know what else to say. So, yeah, we'll see you guys in the next one.